Rules are supposed to keep things fair. Companies set them up to make sure they don't get scammed, that customers play nice, and that the system works as intended. But humans are creative. They'll find the tiniest crack and they will pry it open. I'm Mike with List 25, and these are the 25 clever loopholes that forced companies to rewrite the rules. But before we begin, as always, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell so you don't miss anything. It truly helps the channel. With that being said, let's go do some loop-de-loops. Holes. 25. The Pudding Miles Hack. In the late 90s, Healthy Choice ran a promotion. Buy their food, earn airline miles. Sounds simple enough. The problem? They didn't think about what would happen if someone bought cheap items in bulk. Enter David Phillips, a civil engineer with a knack for math. He realized pudding cups were the cheapest way to earn points, so he bought thousands of them, spending about $3,000. In return, he scored over 1 million frequent flyer miles, enough to travel for free for years. He even donated the pudding to charity for a tax write-off. The loophole was so devastatingly effective that Healthy Choice quickly capped future rewards. Phillips became a legend known as Pudding Guy, and airlines have never looked at promotional tie-ins the same way again. Sometimes the sweetest deals really do come in pudding cups. 24. Pepsi and the Harrier Jet. In 1996, Pepsi ran an ad campaign offering prizes for Pepsi points. T-shirts, leather jackets, sunglasses, basic stuff. But then came the kicker. The ad jokingly showed a Harrier Jet for 7 million points. John Leonard did the math. You could buy points directly from Pepsi for 10 cents each, which meant the jet technically cost $700,000 instead of $33 million. Leonard raised the money, sent in the order, and demanded his jet. Pepsi refused, claiming it was a joke. He sued, and the case went to court. The judge ruled no reasonable person would expect a jet. Pepsi immediately added disclaimers and stopped dangling wild prizes. Leonard didn't get his jet, but he did change how companies word promotions forever. Lesson learned: don't underestimate people who are willing to take your joke seriously. 23. Subway's $5 footlong fallout. $5 footlong. Subway's jingle was everywhere in the 2000s. Customers flocked in, assuming every sandwich was $5. But here's the loophole. Franchise owners were losing money on pricier ingredients like steak and seafood. Some shops honored the deal, some didn't, and angry customers started demanding the promo nationwide. Subway corporate doubled down, forcing franchises to offer $5 deals whether or not they could afford it. Lawsuits popped up, margins sank, and the chain suffered. Eventually, Subway had to roll back the offer and introduce fine print, making it clear that not all sandwiches, or even all locations, were eligible. The promotion that started as a catchy song turned into a financial mess. What looked like a slam dunk marketing campaign ended up being one of the biggest headaches in fast food history. 22. Extreme couponing chaos. For years, grocery stores handed out coupons like candy, never imagining how creative shoppers could get. Then came the era of coupon stacking. Customers discovered that they could combine manufacturer coupons with store coupons, and if the store had a double or triple day, the savings multiplied. Some extreme couponers learned to walk out with carts full of groceries for pennies, or even with the store owing them money. What started as a marketing perk became a loophole nightmare. Retailers had to tighten their systems, introducing barcoded coupons that couldn't be stacked and limiting how many discounts could be applied per purchase. For the hardcore couponers, it was the end of the glory days. For stores, it was a sigh of relief, finally closing a loophole that was draining profits faster than they could restock shelves. And now the word coupon sounds weird, so awesome. Do you say coupon or coupon? Let me know in the comments below. 21. Amazon Kindle freebie hack. When Amazon launched the Kindle marketplace, self-publishing exploded. But with new systems come new exploits. Authors quickly figured out a trick. They could make their books free on other platforms, then pressure Amazon to price match and set the Kindle version to $0. Once free, authors downloaded their own books thousands of times, boosting rankings and visibility. After climbing the bestseller charts, they switched the price back to paid, cashing in on the artificial exposure. It was a cheat code for marketing. And for a while, it worked great. But when Amazon found out, they changed their rules to include protections against pricing manipulation and strange volume downloads. The hack no longer worked, but the damage was done. Some authors had used the loophole to kickstart entire careers. It was a lesson Amazon learned the hard way. Writers can be just as crafty as readers. 20. McDonald's Monopoly Scandal. McDonald's Monopoly game was one of the biggest fast food promotions of the 90s and early 2000s. Customers collected stickers hoping to win everything from free fries to cars, even $1 million. But behind the scenes, a massive loophole was being exploited. Jerome Jacobson, an employee at the marketing firm that handled the contest, secretly stole winning pieces and distributed them to friends and accomplices. For years, they made millions in prizes, while normal consumers kept peeling stickers that had no chances of winning big. The FBI eventually discovered the plan, which made news nationwide and led to charges. McDonald's had to entirely change how it organized contests, adding security safeguards and outside supervision. The scandal highlighted how easy it is for insiders to take advantage of major promotions. For us customers, it was a harsh reality check. Sometimes the game really is rigged. 19. Best Buy price match mischief. Best Buy's price match policy was meant to assure customers they never pay more than competitors. On paper, it was a smart way to keep shoppers loyal, but crafty buyers spotted a loophole. They started bringing in ads, or even faked online listings, from obscure websites that listed electronics at ridiculously low prices. Some clerks, who had to follow the rules, handed away pricey TVs, laptops, and cameras for a small amount of money. Best Buy eventually caught on, tightening rules to only accept price matches from approved retailers and online stores. They also trained employees to verify deals before honoring them. For the bargain hunters, the fun ended quickly. For Best Buy, it was a crash course in how quickly we'll match any price can spiral out of control when people are determined to game the system. 18. Olive Garden's Fastpass frenzy. Olive Garden came up with a strange offer in 2014 called the Never-Ending Pasta Pass. For $100, people could eat as much pasta, breadsticks, and Coke as they wanted for 7 weeks. What sounded like a fun gimmick quickly turned into a nightmare loophole. Some customers treated it like a challenge, eating at Olive Garden 3 times a day to maximize their value. One man reportedly consumed hundreds of dollars worth of meals, posting his progress online like an endurance sport. The business didn't plan for these power consumers, and it cost them a lot. Future passes came with more restrictions, shorter time frames, limits on food, and clearer rules. While the promo generated buzz, it also highlighted how dangerous it is to underestimate customers' appetite for unlimited deals. 17. Monopoly's free parking myth. For decades, family played Monopoly with a house rule that wasn't in the official instructions. All the money from taxes and fees went into a pot, and whoever landed on free parking got it. The issue? This loophole made everything different. Instead of participants progressively losing all their money, surprise windfalls kept everyone alive for a lot longer, making games last for hours. Hasbro eventually had to step in, clarifying that free parking was just a blank space. No jackpots included. They even released official statements trying to kill the myth, though many players ignored them. The company later embraced optional house rules and special editions, admitting they couldn't fight tradition forever. It's a great illustration of how a loophole can change the whole culture of a game, for better or for worse. 16. EVE Online's bank heists. EVE Online, the space MMO known for its player-driven mayhem, found out the hard way that having no rules for banking was a bad idea. Players created in-game banks where others could deposit currency for interest. Sounds stable. Until those bankers realized there were no rules stopping them from emptying the vaults. Some ran off with billions of ISK, crashing virtual markets and wiping out players' fortunes. These digital Ponzi schemes became legendary. Developers couldn't ignore it forever. They introduced new systems to regulate large-scale transactions and protect players. The scandals, on the other hand, were part of the game's story. In EVE, treason was just as dangerous as enemy fleets. It revealed that even in virtual worlds, financial loopholes caused the same kind of greed and chaos as Wall Street. But, with more spaceships and lasers. 15. World of Warcraft's corrupted blood. In 2005, World of Warcraft added a raid boss that spread a disease called corrupted blood. It was supposed to stay inside the dungeon, vanishing when players left, but clever gamers discovered pets and teleport spells carried it into cities. Towns were suddenly full of sick people, and the epidemic spread like wildfire. Players at lower levels died right away, while players at higher levels became carriers, and chaos broke out. Blizzard had to step in with emergency patches, essentially quarantining the game. Epidemiologists eventually looked at the incident as a model for real pandemics since it was so strong. What was supposed to be a short-term gaming mechanic morphed into an unintentional simulation of a pandemic. It was one of the wildest examples of players finding a loophole the developers never foresaw, transforming a fantasy raid into an infamous moment in gaming history. I guess right next to Leroy Jenkins. 14. RuneScape's party hat economy. RuneScape introduced colorful paper party hats as throwaway holiday items in the early 2000s. They were supposed to be cheap seasonal fun with no real value, but players realized something. Because they were never coming back, they became scarce. Because they were scarce and in high demand, they were valuable status symbols. Soon, players were hoarding them, and prices went through the roof. A simple holiday joke turned into the game's economy, with some hats costing billions of gold. Developers hadn't expected that their junk items would become priceless collectibles. To this day, party hats are among the most coveted items in RuneScape. The whole situation showed how players could transform a small oversight into a financial empire. What started as a silly holiday drop rewrote the rules of virtual wealth and supply and demand economics inside the game. 13. Fortnite's V-Bucks refund exploit. When Epic Games launched Fortnite's refund system, it was intended to help players fix accidental purchases, but sharp-eyed gamers spotted a loophole. They could buy in-game skins, use them for a while, then request a refund, sometimes keeping the items or using refunded currency to grab new ones. Others found ways to loop the system, essentially creating free V-Bucks out of thin air. Word spread fast, and Epic's digital economy wobbled as players rushed to exploit the glitch. The company had to patch it quickly, limit refund requests, and tighten back-end systems. For players, it was a glorious window of infinite currency. For Epic, it was a reminder that any crack in a digital wallet will be spotted instantly. They rewrote the rules, but not before the loophole became legend in Fortnite's young history. 12. Arcade coin string trick. Back in the golden ages of the arcades, kids discovered a dirt cheap way to play endless games: the coin string trick. The method was simple, but devilishly effective. Tie a string to a quarter, drop it in, let the machine register the payment, and then pull the coin back out. Rinse, repeat, and you've got unlimited plays of Pac-Man or Street Fighter 2. Arcades started losing serious money, and some owners even banned kids caught with suspiciously long winning streaks. Eventually, manufacturers designed coin slots with mechanisms that cut or jammed strings, closing the loophole for good. But for a while, it was the holy grail of free gaming. It's one of those hacks that sounds like an urban legend, but was very real. And it showed that kids with enough time and tape could outsmart entire arcade businesses. 11. Netflix free trial farming. When Netflix first rolled out streaming, they offered a 1-month free trial to lure new customers. Sounds harmless enough, right? Except people realized they could just keep making new email addresses to dodge ever paying. Some even built entire workflows, burner emails, prepaid cards, the whole 9 yards, to chain free trials indefinitely. For years, Netflix bled potential revenue while freeloaders binged to their heart's content. Eventually, Netflix tightened sign-up requirements, cross-referenced payment methods, and limited repeat trials. But by then, countless had cheated the system and gotten years of free fun. The weakness in the law showed that a generous marketing campaign could backfire if people regarded it as a challenge. Netflix learned fast. If you give the internet a freebie, they'll find a way to stretch it until you're practically running a charity for TV addicts. 10. High-frequency trading shenanigans. Every millisecond matters on Wall Street. High-frequency traders figured out that they could take advantage of small delays in how exchanges handled trades. The trick was called quote stuffing. Flood the system with fake bids to slow it down, then sneak in real trades at an advantage. For a while, firms made fortunes exploiting these cracks. while regular investors had no clue what was happening. The loophole was so strong that it even played a role in the legendary flash crash of 2010, when markets fell sharply in a matter of minutes before bouncing again. Regulators scrambled to rewrite the rules, adding safeguards and circuit breakers to prevent abuse. But by then, the damage was done. Ordinary people saw just how tilted the system was. It was proof that loopholes don't just exist in coupons and contests, they can shake the global economy when left unchecked. 9. PayPal's negative balance trick. When PayPal first took off, it was a frontier for online payments, and frontiers always attract opportunists. Scammers figured out they could withdraw funds immediately after selling an item, then vanish before buyers filed disputes. If chargebacks hit later, the accounts went negative, but the fraudsters were long gone. PayPal, not the scammers, ate the loss. For a while, it was open season, with fraudsters exploiting this lag to drain money out of the system. In the end, PayPal made its rules stricter by holding payments in escrow, adding fraud detection, and penalized accounts that went negative. But the loophole cost the company millions before they caught up. It showed how any delay between money in and money out is a window ripe for abuse. Early PayPal users remember it as the Wild West days of digital payments. 8. Credit card churning bonanza. Credit card companies thought they were clever, offering giant sign-up bonuses, tens of thousands of miles, or cash back just for opening an account. They didn't anticipate an army of churners. These savvy customers opened card after card, claimed the rewards, then canceled or let accounts sit idle. Some racked up millions of points, flying business class around the world for pennies. Banks tried to keep up by adding annual fees, limiting how often someone could get a bonus, and tracking churners across multiple cards. But for years, it was a golden loophole. People essentially lived off free flights and perks. Today, travel hacking is still alive, but far more restricted. The loophole forced banks to rethink loyalty programs. It proved once again that if you dangle rewards, someone will turn them into a full-time hustle. 7. Airline hidden city ticketing. Airlines price tickets in bizarre ways. Sometimes a layover flight is cheaper than flying direct. Enter hidden city ticketing. Passengers book trips with connections, then skip the last leg to save money. For example, let's say you want to go to Chicago. It might be cheaper to book a ticket to Milwaukee with a Chicago layover, and just never board the Milwaukee leg. Travelers use sites like SkipLag to exploit this loophole, and airlines were furious. They canceled frequent flyer accounts, threatened lawsuits, and tried to block SkipLag altogether. But the tactics survived, and many flyers still use it today. Airlines had to rewrite their terms of service, specifically banning hidden city tricks. It showed how even a century-old industry with armies of lawyers can get blindsided by people who simply read the fare maps differently. 6. Chuck E. Cheese token scam. Chuck E. Cheese tokens were meant for arcade games and rides, but some clever folks noticed they were the same size and weight as foreign coins worth far less. Suddenly, people were bringing in bags of cheap pesos or lira to play games and win prizes on the cheap. In some cases, kids discovered household washers or slug-like discs worked too. Chuck E. Cheese eventually had to upgrade machines and redesign tokens to stop freeloaders from turning pocket change into piles of tickets. It's a small loophole compared to Wall Street, but for kids trying to stretch their allowance, it was game-changing. The lesson? If your tokens look like real money, someone's going to figure out how to hack that system and win that giant stuffed animal for pennies on the dollar. 5. Disney Fastpass loophole. When Disney first introduced its Fastpass system, it was meant to keep lines manageable by letting guests reserve timed entries for rides. But savvy parkgoers spotted a loophole. The paper tickets didn't have strict enforcement. People learned they could use old Fastpasses long after the printed return time, or collect extras by sending non-riders in their group to grab more. Some even built elaborate trading networks, swapping Fastpasses with strangers to skip lines all day. In the end, Disney cracked down and switched to a digital system that linked reservations to specific tickets and accounts. The time of loopholes is over, but not before a lot of guests transformed what was meant to be a tiny reward into a golden ticket that let them ride as many rides as they wanted. It proved that even the happiest or most magical place on earth couldn't outsmart human ingenuity for long. 4. IKEA's return policy loophole. For years, IKEA had one of the most generous return policies in retail. You could bring back almost anything, no questions asked. Customers quickly figured out they could use furniture for years, beds, couches, even wardrobes, then return them for full refunds or exchanges. Some people even treated IKEA like a free rental service, grabbing items for short-term use and returning them after moves or events. Eventually, IKEA had to tighten the policy, shortening return windows and requiring receipts. Still, the damage was done. Too many customers had turned easy returns into a personal loophole. It became a cautionary tale for other retailers. Generosity is good, but leave the door wide open, and someone will march a used couch right through it. IKEA learned that even friendly policies need limits when human creativity gets involved. They still have actually a pretty good return policy though. 3. Walmart Price Match app exploit. When Walmart rolled out its Savings Catcher app, the goal was to keep customers loyal. Shoppers scanned receipts, and if a competitor listed an item cheaper, Walmart refunded the difference. At first, it was a hit. Free money for loyal customers. But some people realized they could fake competitor ads or manipulate UPC codes to trigger endless refunds. A few extreme exploiters bragged about getting back hundreds of dollars with minimal spending. Walmart quickly noticed the abuse and shut down the app entirely, citing customer experience improvements. In reality, it was bleeding money from opportunists gaming the system. The loophole showed how even digital safeguards aren't foolproof when people are motivated. What started as a tech-driven loyalty perk became one of the fastest promotions Walmart ever killed off. 2. Amazon textbook rental trick. Amazon's textbook rental program was designed to save students money. Rent the book for a semester, then return it. Simple enough, but clever students spotted the loophole. Claim the book was lost, pay a small replacement fee, and keep the book. Many then resold it for way more than the fee, pocketing the profit. Others simply never returned rentals, gaming the system on repeat accounts. Amazon eventually cracked down with stricter tracking, bigger penalties, and blocked accounts. Still, for a while, students ran a thriving side hustle off this loophole. It was a perfect storm. Expensive textbooks, desperate students, and a policy that underestimated how far people will go to save or make money. Amazon learned that even helpful programs can turn into financial sinkholes when loopholes get exposed. 1. The Tesla free charging hack. In Tesla's early days, free supercharging was a major perk. Owners quickly discovered a loophole. The cars didn't enforce strict limits on session length. Some people parked their vehicles for hours, treating stations like permanent gas pumps. A few even used the free electricity to run equipment or power homes during outages. The abuse clogged stations and cost Tesla millions in electricity bills. Eventually, Tesla altered the rules so that only certain models could charge for free and added fines for cars that sat for too long. It was another incidence of kindness being used for bad purposes. Tesla wanted to encourage adoption, but users turned free forever into free for all. The company had to accept that unlimited perks don't scale when creativity meets scarcity. And that's all I have for you today. But before you go, how about a little bit of extra trivia? Did you know in 2014 Red Bull had to pay out over $13 million in a class action settlement because their slogan, "Red Bull gives you wings," was considered misleading? No one got wings, but they did get $10 or a free case of Red Bull. And still on the topic of loopholes, there are people who have exploited them and have totally gotten away with it. Check out this video for that. As always, like, share, comment, subscribe, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys next time. Don't take advantage of loopholes. Stop ruining things for other people, okay? Stop. Thank goodness.